Star Wars The Force Awakens is packed with Easter eggs, references, and nods to all sorts of things, including both trilogies, some signature J.J. Abrams elements, and hidden cameos you might not be expecting. So let's breeze through as many as we can. Also bear in mind, spoilers, every spoiler, forever. Let's kick things off with some parallels to the original films, in particular A New Hope. We get another person stranded on a desert planet, destined for more, an opening sequence that features stormtroopers, obliterating rebel sympathizers, an Obi-Wan style sacrifice in the death of Han Solo, plus Rey using similar mind tricks and hiding on Starkiller Base, just like he did. Starkiller Base also seems to lack railings, just like the Death Star. The attack on that facility also features elements similar to the Death Star trench run, and we get important data hidden inside a droid. We have a stormtrooper dressed as a rebel, as opposed to the opposite scene in A New Hope. He even removes his helmet, declaring his intention to mount a rescue. Rey pulls a lightsaber out of the snow, like Luke does in Empire Strikes Back. Maz Kanata has a wacky cantina, like we've previously seen. Rathtars look similar to Minox when they're pressing themselves against glass. And we get Han Solo saying that iconic Star Wars line, "Oh no, I've been bloody stabbed by me son." I mean, I have a bad feeling about this. Luke Skywalker is also in exile, like Obi-Wan and Yoda were. It's been mentioned that the planet he's on may be Rakata Prime, a water world dotted with islands, confirmed now to be Star Wars canon. The Millennium Falcon also makes a welcome return. We see the holochess game to Jarek fire up, this time with the creature that got body slammed, getting revenge by fighting back with a mace. The Falcon also has a busted motivator, like that old R5 unit. We get reminded again that it did the Kessel run in 12 parsecs. People are still banging on about that? I don't know. And we even get Finn and Rey hiding out in the floor compartments. There's a number of items, places, and old faces seen or referenced. Hux is clearly inspired by Grand Moff Tarkin. The Bespin corridor where Luke fights Vader is seen in Rey's vision sequence. Leia actually had a similar vision in the comic Shattered Empire when she was on Naboo. C-3PO has a new arm, and Kylo Ren possibly loses an arm. It's not exactly made clear what damage was inflicted on him, but limb loss is a common Star Wars trope. The Millennium Falcon has a new dish after it was clipped off in Return of the Jedi, and inside we see that the Jedi training device, as used by Luke, is still present. There's also a brand new kind of torture droid and a mouse droid used by the First Order, and they even have a trash compactor on Starkiller Base. We see evaporators again, this time present on Jakku. Some First Order officers have hats reminiscent of Darth Vader. Both Admiral Akbar and Nyan Num reappear. Obi-Wan's chest is apparently the same chest holding Anakin and Luke's old lightsaber, and Finn's assigned Stormtrooper number FN2187 is a nod to Cell 2187, where Princess Leia was held on the first Death Star. The prequel trilogy isn't completely ignored either. It suggested to Hux that perhaps he should use a clone army, meaning that technology clearly still exists. Kylo Ren ends up with a facial scar, just like Anakin Skywalker. He even slaughters a bunch of Jedi, mirroring his actions in Order 66. Pod races can be seen on Jakku, and a number of flags are present at the opening of Maz Kanata's palace that reference Anakin and Sebulba's pod race insignias, Zero the Hutt, the Onaka clan, as in Hondo Onaka from Rebels, and the Mandalorian symbol, a reference to Jango Fett and Boba Fett's people. One of the Knights of Ren also appears to be wearing a Mandalorian mask, and in many ways, Captain Phasma is the Boba Fett of this film because she looks cool but does absolutely nothing of note, except for potentially being dead in a trash compactor. Now the assumption can be made that Supreme Leader Snoke is Darth Plagueis, the same Darth Plagueis mentioned in Revenge of the Sith. Palpatine thought that he killed him, but Plagueis has been known to cheat death. And Snoke is heavily scarred, potentially from that attack. His theme music is also eerily similar to the opera score we hear in Revenge of the Sith as Palpatine discusses Darth Plagueis. A lot of old Ralph McQuarrie concept art came into use in this film. The X-Wings are slightly closer to their original design. Maz Kanata's palace was inspired by unused concept art for Jabba's palace. BB-8 is based on an early sketch for R2-D2 and a drawing from director J.J. Abrams. Rey is heavily based off early concept art for Luke Starkiller, which was Luke Skywalker's original name, like the base, when he was at one point to be female. The Snowtroopers and Flame Troopers have the same insignia seen in some Empire Strikes Back concept art. And Finn wielding a lightsaber and Stormtroopers wielding melee weapons harken back to an original idea that all Stormtroopers carried laser swords. The scattered debris, including the AT-AT that Rey lives inside, like how Luke was kept alive by fitting inside a Tauntaun, is from the Battle of Jakku, which saw the final defeat of the Empire shortly after the destruction of the second Death Star. Numerous trashed original trilogy vehicles still lay there, and we also see that some of Rey's costume is made up of an old Stormtrooper helmet, plus she puts on a Rebel Alliance helmet, and you see that she's made up her own Rebel Alliance doll, plus there's various X-Wings and Imperial Star Destroyers scattered all over the place. After this battle, the First Order spun out of the Imperial remnants, with J.J. Abrams saying that parallels the fact that some of the shattered Nazi party fled to South America after World War II. J.J. Abrams also threw in a few of his signature references, including a Simon Pegg cameo, who is a massive Star Wars fan, but was more recently made part of the new Star Trek series as rebooted by Abrams. He plays Unkar Plutt. Ben Schwartz, use the Schwartz, and Bill Hader were voice consultants for BB-8, the second of which was also the computer voice for the USS Vengeance in Star Trek Into Darkness. Two of Abrams' friends, Lost composer Michael Giacchino and Radiohead producer Nigel Godrich, played Stormtroopers. Ken Luang, also of Lost fame, makes an appearance as Admiral Statura, and Poe Dameron is named after Abrams' daughter's toy polar bear and his assistant Morgan Dameron, who also appears as a Resistance officer. Poe Dameron's parents also show up in the follow-up comic to Return of the Jedi, Shattered Empire. Abrams' father also plays Resistance officer Captain Cypress, and his grandfather Calvin is referenced when Rey warns BB-8 to stay off Calvin Ridge. Greg Grunberg, J.J. Abrams' lucky charm and childhood friend, plays X-Wing pilot Tamin Wexley, a character who also appeared in the novel Star Wars Aftermath. Also, Bad Robot, his production company, is currently giving the cult film Phantasm a 4K restoration, the name of which was the inspiration for Captain Phasma. Abrams is also a massive Beastie Boys fan, and the pilot Allo Asti's name is homage to Hello Nasty, a Beastie Boys album. Abrams' vocals can also be heard in the film. He has a couple of singing credits, including a song in Maz Kanata's Bar, which is sung in Huttese. Also, it looks like he snuck in one lens flare when the Starkiller base is first unleashed. As mentioned, there are a number of surprising cameos, including actress Harriet Walker, who tends to Chewbacca's wounds. She's actually the niece of Christopher Lee, who played Count Dooku in the prequels. Warwick Davis, who played Wicket the Ewok, appears as a background bar character called Wallavan. Judah Friedlander is also present in that scene, as is Force for Change competition winner DC Barnes. Carrie Fisher's daughter, Billy Lord, is seen as part of the Resistance. Kevin Smith is said to have a vocal cameo, but it's unclear where. A couple of the Raid actors appear as space pirates, and Thomas Brody Sangster, who voices Ferb in Phineas and Ferb, is seen as an Imperial officer. A number of Clone Wars voice actors also appear and give life to numerous aliens and stormtroopers, one of which includes Sam Witwer. He also played Starkiller in The Force Unleashed, a game where you just hit guys with a glowing stick. Surprisingly, Daniel Craig plays the stormtrooper that Rey mind tricks, and in her flashback sequence, a couple of voices can be heard, including Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, as voiced by Ewan McGregor himself. Okay, a few more things to wrap it all up. Now, it's easy to draw parallels between Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, as named after Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Ben Kenobi, after he had a name change, and Han and Leia's son, Jason Solo, who also turns evil in the expanded universe. Ben is also the name of Luke's kid in the expanded universe. Han Solo says he lost the Falcon to Duquesne. The planets that were exploded in that explosion were from the Hosnian system, including Hosnian Prime. And we get nods to other classic films, such as Apocalypse Now, The Seven Samurai, and North by Northwest. Finally, the Resistance base has the first live-action R2-KT, who was named after the daughter of a man who founded the 501st Legion charity group. Katie Johnson died in her sleep in 2005 from an inoperable brain tumor, and the droid was built for her as she wished she had an R2 unit to look over her in her sleep like Padme did. R2-KT makes appearances at fan events, visits sick children in hospitals, and helps raise money for a wide variety of charities. So that's pretty great. Thanks everyone. Now if you are interested, there are a ton of Star Wars videos that you might like on my channel. That one there on your left, you'll particularly enjoy if you don't like Ewoks. Also, I have a podcast called The Weekly Planet that covers movies and TV shows and comics. It is considered one of the podcasts, like one of the many thousands. But look, that aside, is there anything that you think I've missed from Star Wars The Force Awakens? Because there definitely is. There's just so much stuff in this movie. So if you've seen anything, please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. That would be much appreciated. Alright, thanks everyone. Take care.